Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you. I trust you can hear me. I've never done this headphones thing before. So as you heard, thank you for that lovely introduction. When you see my slides, you'll know I'm from a place called TrendWatching. Our obsession is consumerism, with where your consumers, where your customers, where your users are heading next. Now, we're digital people, we're tech people. So today I just want to share 4 digital-fueled, tech-fueled consumer trends. These are trends that can inspire you, can empower you really, to make your next product, your next service, your next app, your next platform, right, whatever it's going to be. These are trends that are powerful opportunities for you guys as innovators, your next advertising campaign, whatever, okay? No one knows the future. As we saw this morning with the election result in my country, I don't have a crystal ball, but we can see some trends emerging right now that are powerful opportunities for you guys to build something new, and build something new knowing that it's deeply grounded in the emerging expectations of your users, your customers. You only have to look across the last 12 months to know that consumer expectations are changing faster than ever. When we have hundreds of millions of people around the world chasing these guys, these digital apparitions around the streets of New York, Beijing, London, wherever, when Google's DeepMind beats the world's best Go player, it was supposed to be 10 years away, it's already happened, it's happened twice now. When Heineken, or Budweiser, sorry, are using driverless trucks to make deliveries of bottles of beer, okay, when you can buy a smartphone now, this is the H2 smartphone, it was launched at CES this year, that has a product scanner in it, okay? If you're a fan of Star Trek, this is basically the tricorder. You point this smartphone at anything, it uses near-infrared light to tell you what's in the thing, okay? So it will scan the object and tell you what's in that object. That is crazy. It's not just technological change, we've had social change, political change. This guy is part of the equation, okay, we'll talk a bit about that. We know it's been a very volatile time for brands, okay, we all remember the whole delete Uber scandal. 200,000 Uber accounts went up in smoke overnight because people were not happy, some people were not happy with, you know, Uber's response to Donald Trump's Muslim travel ban. So we know that these political times are fractious, they're polarized, they're very interesting for brands. We'll look a bit at that too. You put all that together, it can kind of feel just like an avalanche, just new products, new services, new campaigns, steamrollering their way towards you guys. It can be very hard to know how to make any sense of it at all, let alone devise your next response. Think about what you are really going to do. That's where trends can help, okay? Now, when I talk about trends, I am open to be misunderstood. When I talk about trends, I don't just mean new technology. I don't just mean what's viral online, okay, what happens to be trending online. I have a very strict definition, really, of a consumer trend, and that definition is what you can see behind me. Okay, essentially a new manifestation of a basic human need or want. Now, there's a lot going on inside that definition already, so I just want to take a step back from that, unlock our model, really, of how new consumer trends emerge, and that's going to be really useful for the 4 trends that I want to share with you guys today, and also when you go away, it can help turn you into trend watchers of your own. So let's just look quickly at how consumer trends emerge. So our model of how trends emerge says this, okay, on the one hand, there's change. We live with very rapid change, technological change, social change, economic change. The world is changing around us very fast. We know that, we understand that. On the other hand, though, there's human nature, okay, which fundamentally does not change that much over time. So human beings are motivated by this set of basic needs and wants, value, security, excitement, love, you know, whatever it is, take your pick. Those fundamental basic needs do not really change year on year. They don't really change century on century. They are very stable. Now, at its simplest, our model of how new consumer trends emerge just says this. It says new trends emerge when some change in the world unlocks some new way of serving a basic human need. Okay, when something changes in the world and that allows us to serve a basic human need in a new way, that's when new consumer trends emerge. Put it in an even simpler way, okay, crucially we think you can see that happening when you look at the innovations pouring into the market now, the new products, the new services, the new campaigns, and you ask yourself, is this innovation serving a basic human need in a new way? Just take a very quick example. If you rewind back into ancient digital history, you'd seen the very earliest social media platforms, talking like before Facebook, before MySpace even, okay? And you'd seen that platform, you could have said to yourself, aha, this platform is leveraging an external change, which is the internet in this case, okay, to serve the basic human need that is connection. Now, if you'd looked at the very earliest social platforms through that lens, and you'd seen others that were similar, and you kind of joined the dots between them, you would have then been empowered to spot the trend that eventually became social media, which of course now is not a trend, okay, now is just daily life. But it's a very powerful example of how looking at innovations through this lens of basic needs and external change allows us to spot trends that are coming down the pipeline. Another way of saying all this is just I am looking for the innovations that change what consumers expect. Because when innovations come along and they serve a basic human need in a new way, they create new customer expectations. They rewire people. They cause them to think in new ways, to behave in new ways, to do new things, okay? And those new expectations spread. They spread across markets, they spread across industries, they spread across demographics, and if you're an innovator out there, and I know lots of you are, they will eventually spread all the way to your door, okay? They will spread all the way to the door of your business. And that should cause you to ask yourself, who am I really competing against? Okay, it's not necessarily just the other people in your industry, it's not the other people who just happen to be geographically your neighbors. It is the brands, the businesses, the startups, whoever they are, that are creating the expectations that you will eventually face. That's why we at TrendWatching are so obsessed with watching innovations, with looking at new products, new services, and new campaigns. We're fueled by this. This is our spotting network. It's a network of thousands of people all around the world, just like you, sending us examples from their markets all the time, okay? And all we're doing is we're joining the dots between those examples. We're looking at them through this lens of basic needs, external change, and new expectations, and we're using that to spot the trends. So I'm going to show you 4 trends today, lots of innovations. Just be relentless about asking yourself, how are these innovations that I'm seeing creating new customer expectations? Okay, and how could I serve these new expectations myself? What do these new expectations mean for me? If you can take away just one light bulb moment, okay, this is one innovation I show you, where you're like, aha, yes, like I could do something with this. I'm going to take this back to my team. I'm going to take this back to the office. You know, this is an idea that we can adapt and we can run with ourselves. If you have just one of these light bulb moments, I will be very happy. Maybe you'll have more. One is enough. One, I'll be happy. Okay. With all that said, let's get to the trends, finally. So trend number 1 starts here. I've talked to you about how one of the building blocks of a trend is basic human needs. Now, we're very lucky in our societies, okay, in affluent societies like ours, our most basic human needs are already met. If you think about shelter, safety, food, you know, those basic things, they are already met for us. Okay, now in that kind of environment, something very significant happens, and that is a new basic human need, a higher order basic human need rises to the surface, and that basic human need is status. Okay, status is probably the primary driver of consumer behavior in affluent societies like ours. Now, we all know what old-fashioned status looks like, right? It's the supercar, it's the designer handbag, it's the expensive holiday. We're in the midst of a very interesting shift right now, and that is that these markers of material affluence are losing their status power. We are so affluent now that these things don't really mark us out as special in the way they used to. And in 2017, and you guys all intuitively know this already, okay, status looks more like this, okay? Status is more about I'm more connected, I'm more creative, I am healthier, I am smarter than you, okay? This is a model of status that's more about who I am as a person than what I have. Okay, and of course that's been massively amplified by social media, which has turned personal achievement into this very shareable status currency. Okay, something else is also happening now, and we looked at this very briefly at the beginning. That's this, okay? technology is playing a huge role in the endless consumer search for self-improvement, okay? Consumers are on this epic quest for self-improvement because who I am as a person is so tied up to their status now, okay? But technology is now playing a massive role in that quest for self-improvement, and I particularly want to look at AI, okay? We all saw Google beat the world's best Go player last year. Okay, it's not just tech people that saw that. There is rising awareness among your users, among your customers, that for a bounded set of tasks, AI is just better than humans at getting the job done, okay? AI is becoming smarter than us for a certain limited range of things. Okay, now when you put all that together, okay, this endless quest for self-improvement, because self-improvement is so important to my status now, with the fact that I know that AI is becoming smarter than me, okay, for a certain range of things, you get to my first trend, which is called motivated mindlessness. Okay, and motivated mindlessness is simply about saying, in 2018, consumers are going to look to brands to put AI to work to supercharge their self-improvement. So this trend is all about AI-fueled self-improvement, okay? And by the way, I know I'm going very fast because I have to. If you miss any details, don't worry. You can take the deck away. Hit me up on LinkedIn or like Twitter and I'll email you the deck if you miss any titles or names or whatever. Okay, so AI-fueled self-improvement. I just want to show you some examples of how that's playing out. Let's start with a nice simple one. This is Google Goals. Okay, Goals is a new feature in Google Calendar. And what Goals does is it uses AI to intelligently schedule your self-improvement sessions. Okay, so you choose what you want to do, like learn the violin or practice my push-ups or whatever, okay? Goals will schedule those sessions for you through your calendar, okay? And it uses AI to do that intelligently. Now, if you miss a session, it will intelligently reschedule your practice sessions. And over time, it learns about who you are as a person. It learns about the times you tend to do it and the times you tend to skip the session, and it uses AI to just become more and more intelligent about scheduling sessions that you are actually going to do. Okay, so just a very simple example of using AI to supercharge self-improvement, to make self-improvement easier for consumers. This is even more interesting, okay? This is an Indian startup called Bolt. They're making an ecosystem of wearable devices. You know the stuff, the wristband, the earphones. It's going to collect a lot of physiological data about your activity, your sleep, and so on. But crucially, Bolt is going to use AI to crunch all that data and deliver to you personalized coaching and advice. Okay, so it calls itself the first AI personal trainer. Okay, so again, just a brilliant example of using AI to supercharge self-improvement. Check this out. This is Ava. This is an app. You use it to take a picture of whatever you're going to eat, just like that. Okay, then it uses image recognition and AI to go off into the web, understand what you are eating, and give you nutritional advice about that. Okay, and over time, if you take a picture of everything you eat every day, over time it uses AI to learn about your diet and your dietary habits and start to give you advice about your long-term, diet. Like you should eat, less biscuits, you should drink less beer, that kind of stuff. Okay, so again, just a great example using AI to supercharge self-improvement, to make consumers, help consumers become the people they really want to be. Okay, you don't have to just think about fitness and physical things, okay? Your consumers want to self-improve in all kinds of domains. So just one example of that, this is Plum. This is essentially a new AI-fueled personal accountant, okay? It syncs to your bank account and it uses AI to analyze your spending and start to give you advice about your monthly budget, okay? And you can tell Plum, I want to save $100 a month, and it will automatically do that for you and start to give you advice through the month. Like, hey, if you keep spending at the rate you're spending this month, you're going to run out of money before the month is over, that kind of stuff. Okay, so Plum is using AI to help you with your finances, and you talk to Plum through a Facebook chatbot. Okay, so it also uses natural language processing, so the interaction is very natural. You just talk to it, you chat to Plum through a chatbot on Facebook. Can you take a light bulb moment there? Okay, I am not suggesting that you just go off and do, finance, or you go off and do dietary advice, okay? What I'm talking about is the expectations that these examples create. Your users, your consumers, they see Google Goals, okay? They see Bolt, or they will see it soon. They know that AI-fueled self-improvement is now possible, okay? And they will be looking to your brand, your startup, your business to offer that too. You know, if these guys are doing it, why can't you do it? That will be the question they are asking themselves. So how can you use AI to help your users become the people they want to be? If you can ask that question in 2017 and in 2018, you're in a very powerful place. Okay, let's talk about the second trend. So that one starts here. Yes, consumers care about their status. They're obsessed with their status. They also care about their lifestyle, and their identity is hugely important to them. You know, when we talk about identity, I think it's true to say we live in an amazing time right now. We live in a time where most people, certainly in the societies we live in, are more free than ever to be the people they want to be, express themselves the way they want to express themselves, think the way they want to think. Okay, we live in a time of amazing personal freedom. But, and we touched on this at the beginning too, right? We live in fractious times right now. Okay, we had Brexit, we had Trump, you know, we've had a range of stuff in Europe. Some people feel that some of those personal freedoms are under threat, okay? And that unfortunately prejudice and narrow-minded attitudes are coming back, okay, in some quarters. And, you know, maybe that's going to impinge on my freedom to be who I want to be. And we've seen the same thing playing out online. Okay, we all hoped, like if you rewind to the early days of the internet and the Californian hippies who made the original cyberspace, they hoped it would be this utopia, right, of perfect freedom and sharing and happiness and self-expression. And it's kind of been like that to a certain extent. But over the last 12 months, we've had a lot of reminders that old prejudices just find new ways to play out online. So one example of that is this, okay, you guys all know it. The Airbnb while black scandal. This is a scandal that showed that black users of Airbnb find it harder to get accepted for a booking than everyone else. Okay, really shocking scandal, and it played out in 2016 and reminded us that prejudice still exists online, right? Of course it does. We shouldn't have been surprised by that. The good news is that amid all of that, the fractious times, the difficulties we've seen online over the last 12 months, the age of personal freedom is not going away. Okay, people are stronger than ever in their demand that I have a voice, I should have an equal voice, and it should be respected whoever I am. Now, when you put all of that together, okay, this age of personal freedom, this demand that I have a voice and I should be treated equally, but new forms of prejudice online and fractious times out there in the real world, you come to this second trend, incognito individuals. Incognito individuals is about saying this, okay? In 2018, consumers will look to use new and innovative forms of anonymity to set themselves free online, okay? This is about becoming anonymous online in new and interesting ways to set yourself free, to say what you want to say, to express yourself the way you want to express yourself, to know you're not going to be the victim of prejudice. And I just want to show you some examples of how this is playing out, how this new forms of anonymity are playing out online. Start with a very simple one. This is interviewing.io. This is a platform for technical software job interviews. Okay, so you can interview someone over this platform who's applying for a coding job and set them coding tasks, and they perform them, and you're on this platform remotely doing it. They just launched a very interesting new feature which anonymizes the voices, and particularly gender anonymizes the voices of the interviewer and the interviewee. So no one can tell if you're interviewing a man or a woman, okay? We know the tech industry has a big problem with gender diversity, right? Almost everyone the tech industry hires is a man, okay? And that's really bad. This is clearly aiming at that problem with gender diversity, okay? Gender anonymizes the voices of the participants. So just a very interesting example of using anonymity online to give people a fair shot, to make sure they're not the victim of prejudice. This takes it a step further. This is Blind. This is a new social network for employees, okay? It was launched in South Korea. It's now huge in the Valley, like there's teams from Yahoo and Facebook and Google all over it, and they're using Blind to talk to their colleagues about office politics, basically. Who's being hired, who's being fired, which project is successful, which project is failing, what you think of the boss, all of that stuff that we'll talk about, okay? But crucially, they're doing it anonymously. Blind is a totally anonymous social network. So you are free to express yourself on this platform without fear that it's going to cause repercussions or you're going to become the victim of unfair treatment, that kind of stuff. So again, just a great example of using anonymity online in that way. Now, I know what you guys are thinking, especially when I talk to a tech audience. We have been here before, okay? Way back in like 2014, 2015, we had anonymous social networks, in particular Whisper and Secret, and they were supposed to revolutionize the world of social networking. They were anonymous, you could say whatever you like, no one knows who you are, and that was going to be the big new thing in social networking. Whisper and Secret came crashing down for one reason, and that was bullying. Okay, they became platforms that were just redolent with bullying and harassment and toxic behavior. Because it turns out that when you make people anonymous online and you set them free to say whatever they want to say, a lot of them say really horrible things, right? You bring out some of the worst aspects of human nature, like this, okay? Check this example out. This is Candid. This is a new anonymous social network. Just like Whisper and Secret, you're totally anonymous. But Candid is going to use AI to weed out harassment and bullying and toxic behavior, okay? So think about that for a moment. That is really significant. For the first time ever online, we may be able to have a space where you have the freedom of anonymity combined with the security of knowing that this is a civil place, okay? That you are not going to be bullied, that there's not going to be any toxic behavior. That is a hugely powerful combination. For the first time ever, freedom of anonymity, security of knowing this is a civil place to be. And that is now possible because of AI. So a very, very interesting example. If you think all this sounds a bit niche, okay, it's really not. Remember the 150 million daily active users on Snapchat who are already playing with their identity. They're already using masks. Okay, they're already playing with anonymity to a certain extent. This is not really a niche thing. This is already a mainstream thing, and the behavior will continue to evolve. There's one further reason why being anonymous online is so powerful to think about for 2018, and that's this, the filter bubble. Okay, we know, people know now they are locked in this algorithmically generated bubble that's just serving them information and ideas and content that they already agree with. They're trapped in this filter bubble online, and rising numbers of people now want to get out of it. And we know it's a problem, right? Some people think that the fake news that was algorithmically targeted at people online in 2016 helped get Donald Trump elected. Okay, people are very aware that the filter bubble and fake news is a massive problem now. Check out this example. This is anti-persona. Okay, this is basically an app that allows you to sign into Twitter as any user and see Twitter through that person's eyes. Okay, this guy's chosen Tim Cook for some reason. You can choose whoever you like, okay? You sign into Twitter as them and see Twitter through their eyes. Apart from their private messages, obviously, before anyone shouts that out. You don't see their private messages, but everything else, you see Twitter as they would see it. So that's just a very simple example of bursting that filter bubble, okay? Seeing the internet through the eyes of someone else. Now, this is clearly just for fun, but imagine an app that allowed you to see the prices that other people see on Amazon, okay? Or the prices that other people see on that airline site that you use for booking. Okay, we know that airline sites show you different prices depending on who they think you are, okay? And lots of people now, they're kind of going, what price would I see if I was, you know, not in Boston, but in Seattle, or if I was not 45, but I was 25. Okay, we can now think about innovations that will allow people to burst out of that bubble and see those things. So can you take a light bulb moment there? How can you let consumers use anonymity in these new, interesting, powerful ways to set themselves free online in 2018? Okay, free to say what they want to say, free to know they won't be the victim of prejudice, free to burst out of the filter bubble. If you can, again, think about that question, you're on very powerful ground. Okay, trend number 3. That starts with this thought. Personalization. We know that the consumer love of personalization will always be with us, okay? From, way before online, having your suit made to measure, personalization has always been a desirable thing for consumers. Make this thing just for me. And in 2018, we'll continue to see tons of digital-fueled innovations that play with pretty conventional personalization. So this is an Adidas store in Berlin. You come to it, you use this touchpad to design your own jumper or whatever, and then it prints the jumper in 15 minutes, and you walk out with a jumper that's totally personalized because you made it yourself, basically, okay? And digital allows us to do that now. We know that that's pretty standard personalization. So a big question is, where is personalization heading? Now, you guys know better than anyone that really the answer to that is data, okay? Where personalization is heading is data-fueled personalization. We just talked about the filter bubble. A big part of the reason the filter bubble, this algorithmically generated bubble, exists online is because a lot of the time it's great. Consumers love it. You're being fed this constant stream of content and ideas and information and recommendations, and you love them, okay? In fact, we're getting to a place now where lots of people are saying, the algorithms understand me better than I understand myself. Okay, and a very common example of that is the Spotify weekly playlist. There are people who are saying the Spotify weekly playlist understands my taste in music better than I do, and this person even wants to marry the Spotify algorithm, okay? That is pretty crazy. Now, when you put that together, okay, this love of personalization with these new forms of algorithmic personalization where people feel the algorithm understands me better than I understand myself, you come to this trend, true self, which is just as I've said, it's forms of personalization that are using new kinds of data, using new kinds of information, not to ask consumers what they want, okay, but essentially to tell them what they want, to say, we know you better than you know yourself. We're going to tell you that these are things that you wanted that you didn't even know that you wanted. Okay, that is where personalization is heading. I just want to show you some examples of how that's playing out really quickly. This is Con A. Okay, this is an app that uses artificial intelligence to learn all about you. Okay, it can read your emails, all that kind of stuff. Then it will go out into the internet and use AI to develop personalized itineraries just for you. Okay, so just a very simple example of using new kinds of information, using new kinds of data, in this case your social media data, okay, your online data, to tell you things about yourself that even you didn't know. It's like, I'm going to tell you that the perfect itinerary for you is here and here and here, and I know that because I've read data, I've read information that even you can't really read yourself, okay, because there's just too much of it, but I'm an AI and I can, and this is what you're going to like. Okay, so that's a great example of what we call true self. Here's a different version of that that's very interesting. This is called Travel Unwrapped. Okay, this is a new tour company that's launching DNA-fueled global tours. Okay, so if you want to engage with these guys, you first take a DNA swab, they send it to a lab, they analyze your DNA, and then they build a global itinerary for you based on your DNA. Okay, so again, this is an itinerary for you based on information that even you couldn't access before, even you didn't know these things before. But we're going to tell you, you're 25% Middle Eastern, you're 30% European, whatever, you're 13% South American, and we're going to build a global tour for you to go and explore all these places that are relevant to your genetic heritage. Okay, so again, a really interesting example of what we call true self-personalization. Where is this heading? Had to throw this one in. Okay, this is kind of crazy, but it's interesting. This is eBay in London. This Christmas, they launched a kind of little pop-up where you come to this screen, and the screen is using AI and face recognition to understand more about you and then suggest gifts that you should buy your relatives. Okay? Now that is crazy. That is totally nuts. What can this thing learn about you by looking at your face, okay, that tells you what you should buy your mother for Christmas? I don't know. Okay, but that's fine, okay? Some of the examples, when you're a trend watcher, some of the examples you see are pretty nuts. Okay, but don't get too hung up on that. Think about the expectations at work here. Because although this example is crazy, it is tapping into deep expectations fueled by personalization online, fueled by the algorithmic filter bubble that we all live in. It is tapping into those expectations and trying to serve them. And it's those expectations that I really want you guys to think about when I show you an example like this. Okay, this is a pretty crazy example, but how can you tap into those kind of expectations yourself? This is the Singapore Tourism Board doing something equally crazy. You like put a headset on, they analyze your brain waves, and then they tell you where they think you should visit in Singapore. Okay, again, pretty crazy, but tapping into the same set of expectations, how can you tap into them? Final crazy example here. This is Skin. This is a condom brand. It's got a Facebook chatbot that will listen to your voice, decide how sexy you are, and then tell you what brand of condom you should buy based on that, okay? Yes, you can laugh, it's okay, that is crazy. But again, it is tapping into a very powerful set of expectations. Those expectations are not crazy, they are very real, and they are heading your way. Okay, consumers know that they are spinning off a ton of data, a ton of information about themselves that they weren't, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. They are looking to people like you to put that data to work, to tell them things they didn't know about themselves, to make recommendations that they would never have come to themselves. Okay, and if you can tap into that expectation, if you can do that, if you can start to tell consumers things about themselves that even they didn't know, like Spotify is with the music, that is an immensely powerful place to be in 2018. Now I want to wrap up with one final trend. It's a really big idea just to leave you with. It starts here with this rainbow. That's just the big idea slide. Okay. We talked right at the beginning about this model of status as status is about who I am as a person. Now when we have this model of status, who I am as a person, then the things I've done are massively a part of that, equation. The experiences I've had that have shaped me that you haven't had, okay? So for the last 10 years or more, really, we've had this relentless consumer quest for amazing, rare, surprising, really cool experiences, and we've called that the experience economy. And we know the experience economy is relentless. You can dine in the sky in the UK, okay? It doesn't look very safe, but you can do it. You can be part of your favorite film, okay? This is Secret Cinema, Back to the Future. And if you're not doing all of that, you know your friends are just relentlessly on Instagram, on Snapchat, on Facebook, showing you the experiences they've had, okay? Because again, social media has massively amplified the experience economy by turning experiences into a very powerful form of status currency. Like, look at this amazing stuff I'm doing that you've never done, like Snapchat, Facebook, blah, blah, blah. Here's an interesting question then. Where next for the experience economy? Where is the experience economy heading next? Okay? Here's one thought on that. The iconic technologist Kevin Kelly recently said something very interesting. He said, we're moving from an internet where information is the basic unit of currency to an internet where experiences are the basic unit of currency. Okay, because of the maturation of technologies like virtual reality and augmented reality, what he's basically saying is digital experiences, VR and AR experiences, are going to become as real to people as the experiences they have in the real world. That is a massive shift. It's a very, very powerful shift. I just want to look at that shift and ask ourselves, is it true? And what does it mean if it really is true? It brings us to this final trend, the virtual experience economy. Because all I would add to his thought is that if digital experiences, if AR and VR experiences are going to become as real to people as the experiences they have in the real world, then these digital experiences will also become a status currency, just like experiences in the real world have been for years. So this is about digital experiences as a status currency in their own right. Digital experiences as something to boast about, something to tell your friends about, just as you've been telling your friends about your real world experiences for years. Okay, you don't need that slide because I've kind of explained it. Okay, I want to show you some examples of how that's playing out. First of all, how do we know that VR and AR experiences are becoming as real to people as their real world experiences? Well, this was a massive clue. Okay, I promised we'd talk about it. Hundreds of millions of people chasing these digital apparitions, these guys around the streets of Beijing, Boston, New York, Shanghai, Tokyo, everywhere. You guys know, and I know, these things are not real, okay? They don't really exist. But that was an experience as powerful and as real for people as any real world experience that they've had. Okay, but think about how Pokemon Go was more than just a game. Think about how it became a platform for status display. So you had a ton of socializing going on off the back of Pokemon Go. A ton of people saying, I'm part of the club, you're part of the club too. You had a ton of creativity, okay? You had creators on YouTube making content about Pokemon Go. Okay, it's a huge status play. Look at how creative I am. And winning became a thing, or was still a thing, with Pokemon Go. Okay, this is Nick Johnson. He won Pokemon Go. He was the first guy to collect all however many thousand monsters. He went on a global tour to do that, sponsored by Marriott. So there's an opportunity for you out if you're out there, any hotel companies, okay? Winning is still a thing in the virtual experience economy. Now you guys, I'm going to say it, probably will not make the next Pokemon Go, okay? Only one person will, they're somewhere in the world, okay, will have a hit on that level. But when the next Pokemon Go comes along, think about how you can enable your users to use it as a platform for status display. Okay, how can you let them socialize off the back of it? Say someone made an app so you could meet other Pokemon Go players. How can you let them create off the back of it? How can you help them win it? Okay, if you do that, you can leverage the next Pokemon Go as a real advantage for your brand, your business, your startup as well, okay? But to close, I just want to show you some other ways that digital experiences are going to become a status currency in their own right. There are some digital experiences that are going to be so terrifying that just being able to do them is going to become a status currency. The next bit's going to be loud, okay? So watch out on your headphones if it's going to be too loud. I just want to show you a video of how that looks. You survived. Okay, I just wanted to show you that to prove to you that there are going to be some digital experiences that are so terrifying that just being able to do them will become a status currency. Okay, one other way to make a digital experience a status currency is to think not about terrifying people, but think about culture. Okay, we all know that cultural activities are a status currency. You tell your friends, I went to this exhibition, I went to that exhibition. This was a digital exhibition at the Seattle Art Museum. Okay, it was a digital installation by the artist Tomiko Thiel. You walked around the gardens with an iPad, and it was an installation all about showing you how the Earth will look after climate change has really hit. Okay, so a real cultural experience that's something to boast about, just like cultural experiences in the real world. One other way, this is Google Earth VR. Now just remember, okay, that the first time you used Google Maps on your phone, and how transformative that was, okay, how amazing that was. That was just about information. That was just about navigation. This is Google Earth VR, okay, and this is exactly this shift that Kevin Kelly is talking about. This is about the experience, because you can use Google Earth VR to visit, you know, the Amazon rainforest, the Manhattan skyline, the Andes, you know, wherever you want to go, and you can send a digital postcard back to your friends saying, look at this place I've been that you haven't been, okay? A real status currency that's going to become ever more powerful in the years ahead as stuff like this becomes more mainstream. And finally, just to show how truly mainstream this is going to become, this is ABBA. They're going out on tour in 2018. Exciting. They're partnering with Universal Music to do that. But crucially, it's going to be a virtual reality tour, okay? So ABBA's fan base, a lot of them are, you know, they're not under 25, put it that way. You know, they're a very, very mainstream musical act. They're not going out on a physical tour, they're using virtual reality to go out on a virtual tour. And going to that tour, seeing them in concert, I'm sure will be a status currency, will be something to boast about on Snapchat, Facebook, wherever you are, just as going to see them in the real world, you know, would be. So just a very, very powerful signal of how mainstream that shift is becoming. Can you take a light bulb there? It's a huge idea, but can you think about digital experiences that become a status currency for your users? Status is such a powerful driver of consumer behavior. If you're allowing your consumers to gain some status, to do something that they want to tell their friends about, Okay, that is perhaps the most powerful place you can be as a brand, a startup, innovator in 2018 and forever, really. Okay, that brings me to a close pretty much. There are so many trends I could have showed you. I hope you've also taken something of a new way of seeing. Okay, you've got these 4 trends, but you can also go out into the world, start looking at all the examples you see through this lens of basic needs, external change, and new expectations. If you ask yourself just one thing, when you see an example, just ask yourself, how is this changing expectations? Okay, and what do those expectations mean for me? That's 2 things, okay? Changing expectations, what do they mean for me? If you do that, you can start to spot trends of your own, okay? And then you can put those trends to work, and then you will win in the expectation economy. You have to use trends. Knowing them is not enough, okay? You have to actually do something with them once you know them. But if you do that, then you can really start to win in the expectation economy. That's more than enough from me. Thank you so much for listening. It's been super fun. Thank you.